Hey everyone, welcome back to HerbRally, your daily herbal podcast. We come out with new episodes about 5 days a week, so be sure to tune in often. Our goal for the show is to help you along your herbalist journey no matter what stage you're at. We have over 582 episodes, so feel free to peruse those episodes, and you're bound to find something of interest. Today's episode is with my good friend Christina Sanchez, and she gives us an update on her work with saving the Joshua trees. So she's been on the podcast before discussing her work with fighting the good fight for the Joshua trees, and today's episode is just kind of an update on where they're at. You can learn more about Christina and her work at everyleafspeaks.org. That's everyleafspeaks.org. I'll be sure to leave a link to that in the show notes. And also be sure to give her a follow on Instagram. That's at everyleafspeaks. So I won't tell you too much about what's going on. I'll leave that up to Christina. But before we get into the show, I did want to let you know that the upcoming 12th annual Florida Herbal Conference is coming up soon. That's March 10th to the 12th in De Leon Springs, Florida. I've actually been to this event twice, and I say this about almost all herbalism events probably, but the Florida Herbal Conference really is one of my favorite herb conferences. I highly recommend it, and this year they have keynotes with friend of HerbRally, two friends of HerbRally, Lucretia Van Dyke and Patricia Howell. So amazing keynote speakers along with a ton of other amazing presenters. So you can learn more about the Florida Herbal Conference at program.floridaherbalconference.org. Again, that's program.floridaherbalconference.org. And yeah, what's better than going to beautiful Florida and hanging out with hundreds of herbal plant geeks like ourselves. So yeah, just an amazing time. There's also going to be music with Holy River, and it's Jun. I'm presuming that's pronounced June. Or maybe it's John, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I'll leave a link to that in the show notes. Definitely, if you're looking to go to an herbal conference and you're willing to travel, if you're not in the Florida area, this is definitely one that I recommend. So, yeah, check them out. Florida Herbal Conference, the 12th annual. So, also before we get into the show, I wanted to read yet another 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts, and this one is from Arlie K. So thanks, Arlie K. And they say, actionable and empowering. This show is like my morning tea. Warm, stimulating, and a can't-miss part of my day. So grateful to Mason for the wealth of information he's cultivating here. Highly recommend. Huge thanks, Arlie. That means a lot to me. That's really what we're trying to do here, just create and cultivate lots of different viewpoints in the realm of herbalism and the herbal community. So I'm really glad that you're enjoying the show. And if you, dear listener, are enjoying the show, please consider giving us an Apple Podcast written review, or in Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. Any sort of written review helps out with the discoverability. And when I read these written reviews, it always brings a smile to my face. So thanks again. And just like Arlie was saying about the podcast, we have been uploading a ton of herbalism videos to our YouTube channel. If you'd like to give us a subscribe there, just go to youtube.com, search HerbRally, and it'll be right there. We have about 2,700 subscribers so far, and we've been getting a lot of great feedback on it. So check us out on YouTube at HerbRally. We've been releasing for the past week, I think, a video a day. So yeah, please give us a subscribe there. Also, before we get into the show, I got to plug the HerbRally Schoolhouse, of course. This is our membership area. It's only $10 a month, and it's one of the best ways you can help support the HerbRally podcast and all the other work that we're doing here. If you'd like to give it a try, you could try your first 30 days for free with coupon code podcast. Just go to herbrally.com/schoolhouse, enter coupon code podcast at checkout, get your first 30 days for free, and you can see if it's something you're interested in. But basically, we have exclusive access to various classes with a wide range of presenters, and we add to it each and every week. So the library of available classes and now monographs just grows each week. So yeah, we've got lots of exciting plans for the HerbRally Schoolhouse, and we really can't thank our 200 plus members enough. Your support means the world to us, and it really helps us, stay motivated and keep on producing the podcast and everything else we're trying to do here at HerbRally. So one more time, get your first 30 days for free with coupon code podcast at checkout at herbrally.com/schoolhouse. And yeah, one more thing. I am going to be better about uploading now. I set up a studio of sorts in the back of my truck, and I also made sure to add to my my new self-care regimen that I've got to try to release a podcast 5 days a week for you all. So I've got it on my checklist, and I've got a nice little spot here in the back of my truck that I'm currently recording this in. So expect more podcasts soon. So thanks again so much. Thanks for listening, and I'll let Christina take it from here. All right, talk to you soon. Bye. A little bit of housekeeping before we get into the show. The content in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to cure, diagnose, treat, or prevent any disease. This information has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. We are not doctors, nor do we play one on the internet. Please seek advice from a qualified healthcare professional. Okay, MC Calico, take it away.
Yeah. Smoking herbal blends. We need some mullein and some kush, my brethren. While listening to HerbRally Podcast again. Herbalism at its finest with Mason Hutchinson. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Christina Sanchez. I am a botanist and bioregional herbalist based here in the Mojave Desert in the Morongo Basin. Today I'm going to be talking about, I'm a guest with HerbRally today, and I'm going to be talking about Yucca brevifolia, the Western Joshua tree, and its threats and our fight to help protect the species. So the Western Joshua tree back in 2019, the Center for Biological Diversity petitioned the federal government to enlist the species as threatened under climate change, and the federal government denied it. So then Center for Biological Diversity, Brendan Cummings, went to the state of California and petitioned the state to list it as a candidate species for state listing as a endangered species and protected under the California Endangered Species Act. So I've been a guest and I've talked about this before on HerbRally, and fast forwarding from that last time, the Joshua tree, here we are in 2023, and the Joshua tree is still a candidate species temporarily protected under the California Endangered Species Act. There's been a lot of pushbacks, and the Fish and Game Commission, which is going to say yes or no of listing it as threatened, has been wanting more research. So it's been paused while Fish and Wildlife is doing research, and there's been more work and more studies done. There's been a lot of debate about it. There's many that are opposed to the listing because it would interfere with development. It would interfere with solar development. So there's just all of this angst about listing the Joshua tree as a threatened species. So next month, February, I believe it's going to be the 12th and 13th, Fish and Game Commission is going to meet once again. They're not taking public comments anymore. The public comment period has been closed for a while. And they're going to make a decision that yes or no, the species is going to be listed. With that being said, many people do not know that the species is threatened. Today is an odd day that we get this much rain here in the Mojave, but it has been increasingly more arid, and we're seeing an increase in temperatures. So with the increased aridity and the longer periods of higher temperatures that we're getting now, many of the species are starting to die off. So the Joshua trees are dying off. At middle elevation, they're faring a little better, and at higher elevation, they're doing there's a better chance of survival because it's cooler, and at higher elevations you can get precipitation in forms of like snow. So here in the Mojave we do get snow. So the range that we're talking about is the western side of the Mojave, extending into like Inyo County, going up towards the 395 and towards the east side of the Sierras, where we're going to see the species of Yucca brevifolia. The further east of the Mojave you get into, we're talking about the Mojave National Preserve, and into Utah, Nevada, and Arizona, you're going to see the Yucca hagriana, which is going to be the eastern Joshua tree. So that has not been petitioned to be protected because the population that does occur in California are protected under the federal government in terms of it's a Mojave National Preserve by National Park Service. So it is somewhat protected there, but we're seeing that the threats to the Western Joshua tree, there's a huge percentage that occurs on private land, and we're seeing there's more development in forms of solar, renewable energy, and expansion. We're seeing there's more homes being built, more stores being built, and unfortunately, here up in the Mojave, we're seeing people coming up to build in these like glamping resorts. So it's clear cutting old growth Joshua trees. And that's, one reason why we are so eager to get it protected, because we cannot necessarily change climate unless we change ourselves and our own actions and how we're impacting, how our impact is, our footprints, I should say. So we really need to protect those populations that are occurring on private property, because if not, they're dying. They're dying in the national park where they are protected, the Joshua Tree National Park. And they're dying outside the national park. A lot of the arguments has been by those opposed to listing is that they're protected in the national park. We don't need to have state intervention. Those in the national park, the studies that have been done in the national park. And I also help with climate change research for the Joshua Tree National Park. So I'm seeing this firsthand, what's going on. I'm seeing that there's very low recruitment. We're not seeing, new species occurring, new juveniles. A lot of them, we're seeing jackrabbits are mowing them down. Those that have a better survival rate are those that are, growing with a nurse plant where they've got some type of cover and protection from hungry herbivores that are seeking those succulent, nice morsel of leaves that they have. And those are at higher elevation. They're doing better because it's cooler at higher elevation slightly. But so you factor all that in, what's going to happen? A lot of the old growth forests that we're looking at are literally zombie forests of Joshua trees. You're seeing these mature individuals with very little recruitment, meaning juveniles. So you're seeing more mature ones. When they die, what's going to replace them? We're not seeing enough of that. So it's going to be a change in an ecosystem. It's going to, be like creosote. They're going to have to change the national park to like Creosote Bush National Park, because that plant is so, resilient. It can survive 2 years without water. But anyway, with Joshua trees, it's really sad to see how many Joshua trees I come across that have just died because of the drought and because of conditions have not been ideal for them. Another threat is wildfires. Wildfires here in the desert, the plants are not adapted, this ecosystem's not adapted to fires. They don't occur here. So when we do get a fire, it will decimate stands. So dry lightning strikes, people having campfires on windy nights, and those embers spark, that can easily ignite a fire that will decimate. For example, the Mojave National Preserve, August 20th in 2020, over 1.4 million Joshua trees were killed in a fire that decimated this area that they were looking at as a climate refugia, in which, I want to also mention, if anybody out there is interested in helping with the Semi-Dome restoration that's occurring a couple times a year, please type up in Google Semi-Dome restoration. Andrew Kaiser is the lead botanist that is organizing this restoration work, where we're out there planting juvenile eastern Joshua trees and trying to restore this habitat. So if you're interested in finding out what's going on with the Joshua trees, you can look up on the California Department of Fish and Game's website. Look under their tab that says meetings. You could join the meeting, and obviously there's not going to be any public comment period, but you could take part in that. There's also an address, because it's going to be held live in person. This time it's going to be someplace in Northern California. I forgot the location. So it's one way for you to be in touch. I'll also be posting it on my website, any type of new information that we have. We do hope that it will be protected. Either way, Joshua trees are on the radar now, and more people are more cautious about it. So if you are looking, a lot of people are looking into developing here. I just want folks to understand that these are slow growing, long-lived individuals. They grow like a little over an inch annually, and that's dependent upon how much precipitation it gets in that year. They're not reproducing sexually every year, so we don't get, seed germination occurring often. We get some, hopefully, asexual reproduction, but these are species that really need to be on our radar and respected because they are sensitive, and they're not an actual tree. Many people think it's a tree because of its tree-like appearance, but it's not a true tree. If we took a cross-section of one, we wouldn't find the annual growth rings that will indicate wood. You see this spongy, kind of woody core inside that looks like a loofah sponge. That's why a lot of times when you come by and you see Joshua trees, if you ever visit Joshua Tree Woodlands, a lot of them are going to be completely kind of looks like they're bent over and they're kissing the ground, or they just broke off, or their arms will flop. They don't have that sturdy wood in there that will help them stay erect. The wind topples them over. If we have high snowpack, it'll break off branches. So any type of stress from human activities like climbing, hanging slack lines, hanging hammocks will definitely hurt a Joshua tree. And so please be mindful when visiting Joshua Tree Woodlands. Thank you.
And that's going to do it for today's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the HerbRally Podcast. If you'd like to hear more from us here at HerbRally, we now have a text message community, believe it or not. Basically, it's just updates from us. We send about 1 to 7 texts per week, notifying you about new events, videos, courses, podcasts. You get the idea. It's pretty much like our email newsletter, just in text form. So if you'd like to receive text messages from HerbRally, just text JOIN, that's JOIN, to the number 541-256-2895. Again, that's JOIN to number 541-256-2895. And to stop receiving texts, that's easy too. Just text STOP to the same number. It'll opt you out immediately. Okay, thanks again for listening. Have a great rest of your day.